So I'm here to serve women, to let them know that they don't have to sacrifice themselves for crumbs in any system, whether it's their marriage or it's at their job or in their friendships. They deserve the whole cookie and they can bake it themselves.
Hi, and welcome to Lead Well. Our guest today is Dr. Dawnmarie Risley-Childs, psychiatrist and author of The Offering. Her book is a raw and inspiring journey through childhood trauma, complex PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and the radical act of forgiving without forgetting. She's here to share how those lessons can transform lives. Wow, I'm so looking forward to this conversation, DM. You describe yourself as a hope dealer, and I really love that phrase. So, what does this mean to you, and how did that become part of your identity?
Well, when you've been through I'm going to call it a war because it was a war. It was definitely a war zone in my home.
Mm,
And we often talk about, uh, my patients have talked about their trauma, have talked about the horrible things that have happened to them. And they feel hopeless. They feel like it's never going to end, that they can't get out of the trenches because they still, even though they're physically out of that area, they're still in that trench work. They're
mm,
still being abused at home. They're still in Vietnam. They're still wherever in the car accident, or the police officers are still interviewing a child who has been harmed. They're still there. And I want people to recognize and realize that there can be something on the other side, not to give up hope, to keep on working because you can heal. A long time ago, I was selling skincare with Mary Kay Cosmetics, and one of the leaders, the director, she came up with a quote that really saved my life because I was very depressed for 3 months, where I was awake maybe 4 hours a day at the most. And I would always play this in my head when I really truly felt suicidal. I would say, most people give up when success is right around the corner.
mm,
And eventually things did get better for me. And then things were exponentially getting better for me. And I had job opportunities and I had healing opportunities and I was feeling so much better. And then I started skydiving and, I moved back with my friends back east and I had support systems again. And so things were getting better. But, life is a series of peaks and valleys.
mm,
And
mm,
so, there are some times where things are not going to go your way or they're not going to go well for you or accidents are going to happen. Always look for the lesson in there.
mhm.
And when I'm looking at my life now, I wrote a book. I'm a published author. I've I've been able to tell the tale that I've been through. And that is proof that there's something else on the other side.
And isn't that often a pivotal moment when someone can open up and talk about what happened in the past?
There are many people who stuff it down. They never talk about their trauma. And oftentimes, the average person who has experienced sexual trauma in childhood does not start talking about it until the fifth decade. And that's where I am. I did start talking about it when I was in my 20s, when I was in medical school, but I didn't talk about it like I'm talking about it now. And the treatments that were available at the time, they helped, but they certainly weren't curative. And I can't say that I'm cured now either. There's still residuals that I'm working through, but it takes time. I've been living with this for 56 years.
Mm,
So
Mm.
Doesn't mean it's going to take 56 years more to get rid of it, but I have made leaps and bounds just in the past 2 years. And I'm looking at this next year of healing in other ways. And so, and the other thing is that I get to share that with patients as well who have PTSD, because I continually learn new techniques outside of medicine that are effective.
Mm. Wow.
Music, the
Okay.
polyvagal theory is very interesting. And it was really something that didn't start making headway until maybe 10, 15 years ago. And
Hmm.
honestly, I've never seen any continuing medical education credits on it. I'm always looking at what's the next drug available or what's coming out. And we look at things like psilocybin. Psilocybin is very active in studies right now, but they're psilocybin pills, and not the whole mushroom themselves. How that plays out, we'll have to see. The studies are coming out now, but
Mm.
they also have to have what else is in addition. The pill itself is not going to kill the trauma. You have to work through
Mm.
what it is that you experience to get it out of your body. But then what do you do with that nervous system, that vagus nerve that has three branches, one of which is right here in the center? And
Hmm.
when we talk about yoga coming to center, we talk about meditation coming back to center, what we're doing is we're calming down that vagus nerve that is right in the center of us. And that helps deplete the trauma experience
Hmm.
and the reliving of the experience, even without the experience itself.
Mm. So it's a combination. I know from my work, I do work that is related to trauma, but with animals actually. So I work with
Yes.
animals and their people, and animals live through trauma and they live through it in a different way, but then they have PTSD as well. And and there is a mental part of it, a psychological part of it, but then there
Mm-hmm.
is also the physical part of it. And
Yeah.
so you're dealing with both there, as you just.
Yeah, I have had a lot of physical trauma as well because of the sexual assaults that I
Mm.
endured. And also the physical assaults, the getting kicked in the rear end when I was 6,
Mm.
or being thrown against a wall, head injuries from flipping over motorcycles that I was forced to ride, or the bicycle, or eventually I injured my head when I was skydiving. And I got married a month later. That was not good. Never get married a month after you have a traumatic brain injury. But I can laugh about it. Here's the thing. What am I looking at now? I am looking at freeing women.
Hmm.
That is my purpose. When I've looked at everything that I've gone through, and my healer has helped me bring this to fruition as what is my purpose? What am I here? I'm here to serve, right?
Hmm.
How do we serve God? We serve humanity.
Mm.
And so I'm here to serve women, to let them know that they don't have to sacrifice themselves for crumbs in any system, whether it's their marriage or it's at their job or in their friendships. They deserve the whole cookie and they can bake it themselves.
Hmm.
And I'm starting a coaching course. I'm developing it right now. This is my next endeavor, is this coaching course where I am taking high achieving women who are overworked, overwhelmed, overextended, underpaid, and underappreciated,
Mm.
and let them realize and recognize that they deserve to be their complete selves and not worry about what everyone else thinks,
Mm.
and to be able to regain their lives.
Yeah, and I think you also talk about reclaiming their power. So,
Reclaiming their power. Exactly. Their power as women. We as women we have a divine purpose,
mm.
raising our children, becoming mothers, and making this world, we're the calm ones. When we look at the Bible, it says the meek shall inherit the earth.
Mm.
That's us. That's
Yeah.
women.
So how are women giving away that power without probably even realizing that?
Settling for less.
Mm.
Settling for the crumbs, the lower pay at the job.
Mm.
Settling for, I'll give you a perfect example. I was nervous I didn't work for a year and a half, and I was nervous about returning to work because it was such an irritation every time I called the IT department and I would say, "This is Dr. Risley and I need help." And then they'd say, "Dawn." And at first, I'm thinking they're checking that it's the right person.
Mhm.
Maybe there's another Dr. Risley in the house. I know there isn't because
Mm.
there's only two Dr. Risleys in the whole state of California, and he just retired. And he happens to be a psychiatrist too. And
Oh.
we are related distally. We came from the same ancestor in Massachusetts. But then they would continue to call me by my first name, and it was irritating. And then I said to my colleague, who's a psychologist, my male colleague, I said, "What do they call you?" He said, "They call me doctor." And one day I saw this surgeon. Oh, damn, I loved her. She is tall, she's 6'2" and thin, and she's going at the CMO. She's, "You tell that," and she's cursing at him, and four-letter words are running out of her mouth. "You tell that ID department that I'm a physician and surgeon, and I can break his leg and fix it." And she's going off about all this stuff. And I'm like, and I was in so much pain at the time. I only had so much energy to fight.
Mhm.
And she's fighting with him. And I just turned and said, "They do that to me too." And eventually they revamped the whole information technology department, and they brought in some women. And I told them, "This is what it is. We're training them. We're
Uh-huh.
training them to be respectful."
Mhm.
But I find that in every department. So it could be something simple as IT showing the respect to women and giving us the term doctor. And all of medicine is going that. They're now calling us providers. We're not providers. I didn't go to provider school.
Mm.
Why is it that the men had the respect of being called doctor and women do not? That's crock. And that
Mm.
kind of thing needs to end. And we as women can correct that. So that those are the crumbs that we've gotten. You have the privilege to work in this hospital, but we're not going to call you doctor. We're going to call you provider.
Mhm.
We're going to bring it down. And then we have women who are climbing to the top and treating other women very poorly and bringing other women down because of jealousy. And that needs to stop. We need, as women, to lift up other women. It's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned from Mary Kay Cosmetics. This little pink company has stuck with me still today. I may not be selling it, but I'm selling it to you because of the foundation behind it. It was a company started by a woman for the very things that we're talking about. Mary Kay Ash started with $5,000, which was her life savings back in the 50s, and started her company. And everyone told her, "Don't do it." She did it anyway because she believed in what she had. She had trained so many people that kept moving up above her. And the excuse was, "Well, Mary Kay, they're men, they have families." Well, wait a minute. I have kids, I have a family, and my husband ran out on me with a redhead. So what's the deal? And that's the kind of chutzpah that we need in women, is to be able to lead other women, to lift them up. And that's what I'm here for, is to
Mm.
help trained women. Let's get rid of that jealousy. There's plenty of room for the top. When we lift up other women, we lift up ourselves. And men have been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Male turkeys, okay? One turkey will get to mate with all the hens, but all the other males support him. They don't fight each other over the females. They find out which one's the dominant one, and then they support him.
Mhm.
And we need to do this. And Men do that. They're like turkeys. They go out there prancing and they have their wingmans supporting them out at the bar to get the chick.
Mm.
We women need to be each other's wingmans. We need to support each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm here to do. I'm starting that coaching program. I'm taking everything that I've ever written and putting it together, because my book is more than just trauma. It's also a how-to guide to succeed in life
Mhm.
and to work forward and to stop these bad behaviors.
Wow. Now, when we look into like practical things that people can do, so what would be one or two practical things that someone, a woman listening now, could do right now if they feel stuck and in some survival mode or in
Yeah.
overwhelmed by stress?
And this is what I found was the polyvagal theory. I started reading about the polyvagal theory and I recognized that I learned that they utilize music
Mhm.
for regulating the nervous system. One thing that I would have is I would feel so exhausted, never being able to rest, and I'd spend the entire weekend sitting in bed where and even getting up to go to the bathroom was an effort.
Mm.
It wasn't that I was lazy. I'm a physician. I'm a very high achieving woman, right? And but then I would feel completely lazy. And when it came to playtime, it wasn't something that I would do. It was, I can go play or I can just fall asleep because I'm exhausted. Well, that exhaustion is my vagus nerve fawning completely. And what did I do about that? I started with a music program. One that I just found on Spotify. It says Polyvagal Music,
Okay.
and it works really well. It starts out as this somewhat eerie. I actually have a hard time with that particular song. I may erase it from mine because it's just a little, I don't know, but it starts. Yeah, I could just feel a little edge in there. I can feel a little edge up under here on my xiphoid process when I think about it. But then the music starts getting a little bit more of brighter, and it slowly brings my nerves up to the point where I can go out and do what I need to do. And that is so helpful. And there's another one where I'm feeling that nervous energy that I've used. We were talking about things like ChatGPT earlier. I had actually gone on Grok
Mm.
and said, I need a music set that will bring down nervous energy in someone who has had trauma, that where you can't sit still. And so you're running through the house and you're straightening. I see my photo is a little crooked. You're straightening that little crooked photo, and then you see this thing over here, and you're picking that up, and you're doing 100 things, and you're really kind of driving your family nuts because they just want to sit down and have dinner with you,
Mm.
and but you're all over the place. You can't wind down, that winding down period. And so I took the suggestion. I actually created it for a friend who has that problem and sent it to him. And I started listening to myself, and it's so beautiful. And when I have that nervous energy, I start listening to that.
Mm.
The other thing is meditation. Now, meditation was a very dirty word for me for a long time because meditation is what my chief abuser used for grooming.
Mm.
So for a long time, I said, no, I don't meditate. But I am meditating now. And I use the Silva method
Mm.
is one of the meditations that I use. And I also use Yoga Nidra at night for sleep, which is amazing. I've always had trouble sleeping. And what I like about it is that it has you paying attention to each individual body part, your right thumb, your right index finger, your right middle finger, your right ring. It goes through each little detail,
Mm.
and then it's your whole body and your whole body. And I knock out asleep when I there's no waking me up. And
Mm.
it's amazing. It's made a huge difference in my sleep. So even though most of my trauma content is gone and worked through, that nervous system still needs repair and it needs practice. And so you want to practice with your nervous system with those techniques.
Wow. Yeah, and that's also something that I practice quite often, is to focus your mind on your senses.
Yes.
And that really brings you back into the body. And the body is always in the here and now. The body cannot be anywhere else. And that's
Right. But the mind can be anywhere. Exactly. So you're looking at, so I think the one that you're talking about is, what are 5 things that you can see?
For example, yeah.
What are 4 things that you can touch? What
Yeah.
are 3 things that you can hear? What
Yeah.
are 2 things that you can smell? What is 1 thing that you can taste?
Yeah.
Exactly. That helps bring you and ground you. It
Yeah.
grounds you back to the here and now.
Yeah. Wow. There is so much that I would still want to find out from you, but time is always limited, I know. But my last question to you is really, what is your vision?
To free women. My vision is to free women, to help lead women lead themselves so that they no longer have to settle for crumbs and they can get the whole cookie. I
Mm.
want them to be able to break the rules, break the barriers, but at the same time be able to put up those boundaries that no, you don't cross these things with me.
Mm.
Let them regain themselves fully so that they can bring whatever their purpose is to fruition.
Wow. And they can be called doctor instead of
And they can be called doctor. Yeah, you know, ah, what do you call a woman who graduated from medical school? You call her doctor. Show some respect.
Absolutely. And you better do from now on. Now, DM, where can people find you and your work?
They can find me at my website, www.drrisleychilds.com. It's DRRISLEYCHILDS.com. I do have a contact information in there, and it does send emails. So that's probably the best. They can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, again under Dr. Risley-Childs. And I look forward to hearing from you.
And I guess they can read your book.
Yes, and they can read my book. Exactly. It's available on Amazon. You can't just put the offering, you actually have to put the whole title in. A Physician's Journey Through Abuse, Psychedelics, and the Freedom of Forgiveness. You want to put in the whole title or put in my whole name, Dawnmarie Risley-Childs, and it will come up. But it's available at Amazon. They're printing them out one by one. So, expect about 2 weeks.
Wonderful. Well, the last thing I can say is immense thank you. It was.
Thank you. You're welcome. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. And yeah, let's see how many women we can get back into the driver's seat.
Exactly. If Queen Elizabeth can drive around some prince or king, some Arab king, we can too. She set the standard.
That's true. Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. This was Lead Well. Now, what is the one thing that you're taking away from this episode? Please share in the comments below and do share the podcast with your friends and family, but only if you like it.